VAFA Tragics. We have a huge show planned tonight and a very special guest here in the studio. His Collegians are flying at 7-1 and so is he. They're on top of the ladder. Please join me in welcoming Sam Hivens.
Thanks for having me, Nick. It's great to be here, mate.
No, it's great to have you. You've done a little bit of work on television already, so this is pretty easy for you.
It's not quite the same setup as this, mate. Ours is very low budget, but I've had a little bit of practice, yes.
Branton?
Welcome, Nick. Sam, good to have another player on board with Lenny. Don't know where Lenny is this week. he's jet off somewhere, but
I don't know if Hawthorn have the bye or what he's doing, but
yeah, I don't know. It's a poor excuse as well, isn't it?
Oh, he's doing it to
Hopefully
us
he's back next week. I don't know where he's going to be.
Let's move straight into Performance of the Week. Branton, we'll start off with you.
Now, in light of your performance last week, I'm going to back that up. Now, you said that Liam Whelan was going to break his dad's record. Unfortunately, Patrick Martin must have been listening to that because he's come out and kicked 10, and unfortunately, Liam only kicked 5 for Aquinas against Masala on the weekend.
Extremely
so
selfish.
The record's still on hold, and wonderful effort by Patrick Martin.
Absolutely. Sam, your Performance of the Week?
I haven't had a huge opportunity to see a lot of other games, so I'll go from my game on the weekend, and it goes to Courtney Hilton this week, who kicked one of the goals of the year, a banana from the boundary. He should have sent it to me, but he kicked the goal, and it was a huge team lifter for us, so he's my player of the week.
And what quarter was that?
It was the third quarter.
Excellent. Now, that's what we like because we do get a lot of feedback about missing players of the week. So if you let us know, we will put it in there. My Performance of the Week goes to Peninsula Old Boys in Premier B. They had their first ever win in B grade on the weekend by 4 points over Monash Blues. Now, it did take 8 rounds, but a huge congratulations to Peninsula for making history for their club on the weekend. Now, Sam, we'll go straight to you. Collegians, as I said at the top of the show, 7-1 after 8 rounds, on top of the ladder, absolutely flying. Have you exceeded your expectations that you set for yourselves heading into the season?
Well, we tried not to put too many expectations on ourselves at the start of the year, mainly because we had an influx of new players, and so there was a lot of unknowns about what was going to happen. Obviously, we knew we needed to improve on last year, which we have. But sitting 7-1 on top of the ladder, we're very pleased with where we're at. But we know it's a very long season, and a lot of things can still happen.
Now, what has been the main catalyst for your improvement in scoring? You've found 4 goals a game. From this time last year, you're only averaging 9 goals. It's up to 13 now. What's been that main catalyst to find those extra 4? Yeah,
obviously it was something we had to address last year. It was a major problem of our game. I think it's been a mix of a few things. Obviously, the recruits that have come in have added a little bit of extra polish and class with the field kicking and whatnot. But I think there's also the game plan. You know, it's our second year under Shane Joyce, our coach, so we're just getting used to that. We're playing that better. And also, we've had a really good output from, I guess you could say, you know, the 10th to 22nd player in our list. They've all stepped up, and we're getting great input out of forwards like Billy Riddle and Xander Croft, who are, they're stepping up every week. So I think it's a mix of all those 3 things. Was
there a genuine focus on offense? Because last year defensively, you were one of the 3 best.
Probably the last
sides.
2 years you've been very, very strong defensively.
Would have averaged probably 63, 64 points against. Was there a real focus on offense heading into the season?
There wasn't a huge focus. We didn't want to, step away from what made us good defensively. We didn't want to lose that. But obviously, we knew if we were going to be a contender, we did need to find 4 goals somewhere, which we have. But there wasn't a heap changed within our game plan. It was just playing it a little bit better and just having the skills and the players to execute it the way we wanted to. There was no major shift in the preseason of anything we did last year, just some general improvement.
Now, you must have forgotten what losing felt like heading into last week. So what did happen against De La Salle that was different from previous weeks?
You know what, it's funny. I think all clubs, or most clubs, has an opposition team that they just struggle against, and ours is De La Salle at Waverley Park. For us, it's, for whatever reason, it's a really tough road trip. I've played there 4 times now and only won there once. They just play us really well. They make us sort of kick down the line. They do things that we like to do to the opposition. And it was just a really tough day from the outset.
And how are you we've already mentioned it, how are you finding the notoriety of the Lions Den, and how did it all come about?
So the Lions Den was the brainchild of Lockie Ferguson, my co-host. He'd spent some time down at Collingwood VFL, and I think he'd done a lot of media work there. And he came to me in the idea in the pre-season and said, do you want to put a show together, just something for the fans of Collegians who can't make the games to keep up to date with what's going on? And I said, sure, why not? And it's just gone from there. I mean, it's, you know, we're improving each week. You know, none of us have done any training in front of the camera. It's if you watch, if you watch it, there are a lot of mistakes and stuff like that. But it's been great fun, and we get a lot of players from the club who go, you know, when are you going to mention me and stuff like that. So it's been really good, and you know, we're improving each week. We try and keep it, you know, informative. Yep. For our fans, but we also try and keep it lighthearted, so it's actually enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Brenton both love watching it. So Sam's going to stick around. Stay here because we're going to talk about both the men's and women's Big V squads.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back to VAFA Tragics. Now, the Big V squad for both men's and women's has been announced, and we'll have a look at the men's first, boys. Now, it's up on your screen. Let's take into account player availability prior to announcing the squad was taken into consideration. As you can see, all William Buck Premier teams were represented. There are 3 clubs from Premier B and 1 from Premier C. Brenton, that's of George Burberry. St Kevin's have the most players with a total of 7. Brenton, I'll go to you first. What are your initial thoughts of the squad?
I'm glad to see all our predicted players get in the squad.
And not just that, a man that is actually sitting on this panel right now in the squad. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nick. It's a great honour.
Now this will be number, if you get picked in the side, we don't want to preempt things. This will be number, what number game representative-wise would this be for you?
For the senior side, it'll be number 1.
Yep.
I did go to Tasmania a few years ago for an under-23s carnival, which was fantastic. So, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, we get in, and Stewie Powell surely watches the show, and he'll pick him.
Stewie Powell is one of the biggest fans of VAFA Tragics.
Sure he is. He's got a bit of a test, Stewie. So I've gone through the squad. You've got 6 current VFL listed players. So very, very good footballers. 6 ex-AFL players. So that's it's just over half your team there to pick, if you pick all those.
Yeah, so hopefully the VFL coaches are also watching, because as we know, if you're playing VFL, you can't play more than the same amount of games that you've played for VAFA. It has to be 50-50 or in favour of the VAFA, so that's something that's really important. But what stands out to me, you mentioned it before, we've got it absolutely spot on.
Yes.
In terms of...
was there any doubt? Get that?
There's rarely any doubt. But there is a lot of VFL, AFL experience, but there's only 10 players that have come in, that have stayed in from last year.
Yeah. Missing ingredient in the last 2 years, right?
Yep.
Scoring. They picked Matty Boland. He kicked 5 goals again on the weekend. He is surely a lock for the full forward spot.
A lock's going.
He's a
There's
star.
a lot of things to happen, I would have thought.
No,
a lot of water
for
to go
me.
under the
Yeah,
bridge.
there is. For me, he's a lock. He's an absolute star in Prem B.
There's a few Collegians boys in there.
There are a few Collegians boys in there, which is great. The team looks good, or the squad looks good first and foremost. As for the Collegians boys, Will Johnson, centre half back, he's a terrific player. He's been a bit injured in the start of the season thus far. Hopefully he comes good for us and for the Big V. Lockie Ferguson and Corey Cassidy, they're both forwards, recruits for us this year. They're forwards in our team, and they're both exceptional players. I rate Lockie Ferguson is one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting player in the competition. Yep. You just watch him, and I watch him on the field, and I forget that I'm playing sometimes. Corey Cassidy's a fantastic hit-up half forward. I hope he gets selected. He's an incredible player. And then the other 2 boys, myself, and then Viv Mitchie, obviously coming from Melbourne. I assume he'll be a lock. He's really starting to string some good games together. He had his appendix out on the eve of round 1, and so missed that game, and it set him back a couple of weeks. Yep. Since then, hasn't missed a beat, and I think he's been our best player the last 2 weeks.
He seems to be improving and becoming more accustomed with the VAFA type of football week after week.
Yeah, I was speaking to him the other day about that, actually, about how he's finding it all, and he did say it took him a couple of weeks just to get used to the standard and how it all plays, and our game plan, and now that he's got all that, he's just flying along.
Just on Will Johnson, he and Tom Humphrey could fill the two key posts.
Yeah, Tom Humphreys is a great player. Yeah. I always try and tell our mids just when we play D-Lar just to kick it anywhere other than where he is. because he doesn't seem to lose a contest. And Will Johnson, he's a terrific centre-half back.
And it's also great to see Tom Jock in there from St Kevin's. He's under 19s last year, so he's a young gun that are coming through. But good luck to everyone who is currently in that squad. There are a few unavailabilities, as there are every single year. Unfortunately, Jake Williams, Brendan Goss, your teammate Tom Pemberthy being some of the big names that are unavailable this year.
Just quickly with you, Sam. You played under 23s in Tassie. What does rep footy mean to the VAFA footballer?
I think, well, for me, it means a lot.
Yeah.
That 23s carnival I did down in Tasmania was fantastic. It was one of the highlights of my career thus far. I got to meet a lot of the boys that I play against, which is great. You know, you talk trash with them out in the game and you have a beer with them after the game. It's fantastic. You know, when you get that Big V jumper, it's a fantastic honour, and hopefully it happens for me this year. And I hope that all players aspire to play for the Big V because, it is a great honour.
Well, speaking of first-time Big V players, the women's Big V list has also come out, the squad. 62 players are on the initial squad, which is fantastic for those players, and it gives the coaches, John Canis and the selection panel, a lot of players to choose from. Old Trinity leading the way there with 4 players selected. And again, Brenton, not that we like to stroke our own egos here, but every single player that we predicted is also in the squad.
There's no doubt at all. There's no doubt. We do our research here, don't we? There's never any doubt. Eloise Defina gets in there. Kate Dempsey. Your Georgia Flighter.
Georgia Flighter, 10-goal superstar.
So, and who they got up at they play Goldfields at North Ballarat, I believe.
So, on July 9, they'll be going to be playing AFL Goldfields. Yes, in North Ballarat, the day after the men. And so the process from here, we've got an information session on Wednesday, the 14th of June. We're going to have 4 training sessions, and the final team and jumper presentation will be selected on the 6th of July. So good luck to all of those girls who are in that squad.
62 to choose from. Good luck doing your squad you're going to put up on vafa.com.au.
Yeah, I thought the men's was hard enough, but when you're looking at 62 women, that's...
You and Johnny Canis have got a very tough job.
Absolutely. I think he's a little bit tougher than mine. Thanks for sticking around. We're going to go to another break and we'll be back with more VAFA Tragics straight after this.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back to VAFA Tragics. Now, unbelievably, there were 2 ties in the top 2 sections across the weekend. We had Bo Morris and St Bede's Mentone Tigers in the Premier B Grand Final rematch from last year, and also Old Scotch and Old Brighton, the top of the table clash in Premier B this year. Now, I found myself at the Bo Morris and St Bede's game, which lived up to all expectations. As you can see on the screen, it was a tough and hard-fought affair out at Banksia Reserve, with the Tigers taking an early lead with their accuracy in front of goal, the reason for their 7-point lead at the main break. However, Bowie took control in the third with 4-0, reminiscent of last year's grand final when they won it in the third quarter. But the Tigers again came back in the first 9 minutes. They kicked the first 3 goals of the fourth quarter. So they retook the lead, and it was as intense as they come, with goals to both Jordan Smith and George Rollins in the last 10 minutes of the game before Scott Gower took a sensational mark. The siren sounded. Scores were level at 58 apiece. As you can see, he's 55 to 60 metres out. He loads up the big barrel. Crowd's behind him, but he couldn't quite make the distance. And as you can see, Josh Cowan there punches it over the line. Now, from a Bowie perspective, they probably should have won the game. They had the last 5 inside 50s of the match, but they couldn't capitalise. Mind you, Jared Robertson and Tom Garside were taking some pretty handy marks back there, and they probably played their best games for the year, although Robert has been in fantastic form. Their big starred with Tim Cumming and Nick Dickinson particularly influential, and they are a big-bodied team, so their bigs do need to star for them to win games, and they have over the past 2 weeks, and that's why they've got really close against Savs and again on the weekend. As for St Bede's Mentone Tigers, the Richards brothers and James Tykman were outstanding through the midfield, but they probably do lack a little bit of size across the ground. So Josh Cowan was really impressive, and we love him here on the Tragics. Joshy Cowan.
VAFA Tragics own Josh Cowan.
He is. Yeah. He's a media star. But I feel like, especially late in the game, he was probably underutilised. He played a really, really good game. But what they needed was some slick and some really good movement inside the forward line, of which they probably didn't have late in the game. In terms of that, it was a really, really good game. The crowd was unbelievable. The atmosphere at Banksia Reserve, which I'll touch on later in the Tragic Take, was fantastic. And it got me thinking, It got me thinking about the best place to watch VAFA football. Now, I've only been in the association for a couple of years, but it has now taken the mantle as my favourite place to watch.
Park.
Shark Park. So I want to get you boys, best place to play or to watch football in the VAFA.
You go for it, Sam.
I think to watch football, where I played there on the weekend, but out at the Uni Oval, it's very picturesque there. It's really nice. To play football there as well, when you get it early in the season, like we did, it was fantastic. They've got the best away change rooms there by a mile. Yeah, and the new pavilion there. So that's probably when that oval is up and running, I think that's my favourite away spot to play football. Obviously, I can't go past the Harry Trott Oval when we get to play at home.
And obviously, you boys play pretty well there.
Yeah, we like to think we do. We like to think it's a bit of a fortress down there. We've only played there, I think, twice this year.
You got a big run home. Come with Harry Trott Oval and at the college. You played the college.
Yeah, we played one at the college against old Melburnians there, which we had a good win. But yeah, hopefully we get a few games there because you want to bank your away wins early and then come home strong at home.
Just in light of this Speeds Mentone Tigers, Bowie, the long shot near the siren. Who in your side? Who could you bank on from outside 50 to win the game?
Oh, geez, a lot of the boys would put their hand up for this, but
who would love the moment? Who'd relish it?
I would have to go with Will Johnson or Tom Penberthy, but I would probably Tom Penberthy. He can hit them well, but geez, sometimes they go off the boot sideways. So same with Will Johnson actually, but I would go with Jono. I reckon if we needed someone from outside 50, he'd be the man.
And just quickly, Brenton, best place to play or watch? You've done both.
Thomas Carroll Reserve down out at Dandenong, St John's home ground.
Sorry, where?
Out of Dandenong, Sam. I'll give you the Malways a bit later. I'm typing into Google Maps for you. But I'm a bit biased, but Thomas Carroll Reserve, division-wise, is the best deck all year round that you can play on.
See, I'm a big fan of Rathmines because I love the little postage stamp and I love the nice little feel about it. But we'll move on now to Division 2 because there is just one game separating 4th and 9th.
Yes.
Brenton, take it away.
Well, you could argue it's the most even division, even Premier A, B, C, all the way down to Division 4. It's the most even competition in the VAFA at the moment. Now, we've got the 6 sides are Glen Ira, Emmaus St Leo's, Melbourne High School, Old Boys, Bulleen, and Eltham and Old Parade. Now, I'm going to go through each. I'm going to make a case because we know who's going to finish in 4th spot and take that final spot. Glen Ira, they beat Paran Assumption during the year, who were on top, I believe, of Division 2. If they're not top, they're second.
They are at the moment.
Yeah, but they also lost to Melbourne High School Old Boys on the weekend. So there's a recurring theme through these 6 sides. Their form is good in patches, but not consistent enough. Now, Emmaus St Leo's haven't been the top 4 sides. They're going to struggle to go up against the likes of Paran and also Division 2.
West Brunswick.
West Brunswick, Yarra Old Boys. Melbourne High School are the ones for mine. They're the ones, they've won the last 2. They're the perennial 5th, 6th, 7th finishes, but I think they can make a bit of a late charge.
They're going to have to because they've lost a few close ones, especially early on.
Yes. Bulleen Temp, too hot and cold for mine, and they got Eltham this week at Eltham College. If they don't win that, then they might kiss their finals hopes.
And again, that's a fortress
away.
at Eltham College, isn't it?
And Eltham, on their home ground advantage is huge with Eltham College. It's probably one of the biggest home ground advantages in the divisions. So they've got a few home games coming up, and if they can bank a few of those, they might make a late charge as well. And Old Parade, they were beaten by West Brunswick on the weekend, and unfortunately, I think they might miss out on the finals. So I think Glen Ira might hold on, but Melbourne High School are the ones for the chasing pack that might sneak in.
Melbourne High School for 4th.
Yes. Who did you first?
Can't wait to see how that one pans out. Let's move on to dissection. Brenton, I'll go straight back to you. Is Matt Boland the most important player to his team in the competition?
I think at the moment he is. Parkdale have not won without him, so you'd have to say that. He's kicking bags, 5 goals. I reckon he's kicked 5 goals the last 3 weeks, I reckon. And he's absolutely flying. So, yes, he's extremely important to Parkdale's fortunes in the second half of the year. Melburnians. There's a bit of controversy with how that game ended against St Kevin's Old Boys with a tight finish and a red card to Al Armstrong, which in the resultant free kick was the last actual goal of the game to St Kevin's. So were they a bit hard done by in their finish to that game?
Absolutely not whatsoever. a lot of the chatter has been about the fact that the free kick was given in the goal square instead of where the infringement happened. But at the end of the day, it's what led to that free kick being given that should be the focus. And it was allegedly abuse of an umpire, which I know the player, Al, he is a fantastic player and he's an upstanding man in this competition, and he's never been reported before. So
the heat of the moment gets you sometimes. We don't. That's no excuse. But
no,
as you said, he's an outstanding player, outstanding citizen.
He is, and he'll copy his right whack.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it is just a game of football, and the most important thing is the respect of our umpires.
Yep, exactly right.
And so that can't be happening. So absolutely not. It was a great game and another hard-fought one between the two sides. I want to go to Sam. Is Tom Pemberthy, pound for pound, the most athletic player in the VAFA?
Definitely. He's a tremendous player, and to be honest, it's like having another midfielder when he runs around in the ruck. Players have got no problem, hand passing the ball on the fly. He can pick the ball up just like any midfielder can. He's a pleasure to play with, and it's been great this year that he has got a little bit of support with Kalen Post, but he's one of our most important players. And very athletic, like you said.
Brenton, never have I seen a man that tall, that clean below his knees. Will Liam Whelan win the Division 4 goal kicking?
He's every chance to. Patrick Mahon just gets out of his way and just gives him the right he deserves, that full forward spot, that big target. So yes, he should win it if Patrick Mahon gets out of his way.
And Kane Margomez, though.
Kane Margomez, your player of the week. What's he kicked in the last 2 weeks?
So he kicked 21
in the last
in
2
weeks,
so
and he's only 2 games for Manningham Cobras. So if he sticks around, I think he
Liam
might give both Liam and Paddy a bit of a run for their money.
Just slip that one in there just to pump yourself up as well.
Always. Always. That's all we've got time for on the Tragics tonight. We thank Sam for joining us as our special guest. How'd you find it?
Mate, it's great to be here. Get me back another time.
Oh,
I think Lenny might take a few more trips. A few more players on, I think.
We're flying with our Lenny.
Yeah, we are.
Brenton, thank you to you again.
No worries at all. Nick, Sam, thank you for coming in.
Cheers, mate.
And thanks for tuning in. Make sure you stick around. I've got a tragic take straight up after this. As a football competition, we obviously look at the best players, the best coaches, and the best teams. But what about the best atmospheres? Old Trinity's Daily Oval is wide, expansive and visually outstanding to the eye. Brunswick Street Oval is steeped in Fitzroy tradition and home to Hipster Hill, while Old Melburnians clearly have the best behind the goals presence. However, the greatest overall atmosphere for me needs to go to Banksia Reserve during a local derby between Beaumaris and St Bede's Mentone Tigers. Never have I seen more supporters loyally following their club during a home and away match in the VAFA. Never have I seen more parents, children and pets on the ground kicking the footy during a break and interacting from both competing parties. And I certainly have never seen more women's players getting as vocal as the Sharks girls were late in the 4th quarter. I'm always happy to be wrong, but for me, Banksia's atmosphere was the greatest I have ever experienced in the VAFA.